Good morning. Hey, it's a beautiful fall morning here, and we're back for week 7 of the Spooky Sampler Solo. This is our last week of piecing. I love piecing. Assembly is my least favorite, but this is our last week for piecing. But I also love seeing a project come together. This is turning out adorable, you guys. I love this quilt. My husband even came down the other day and was like, I really, really like this one. So samplers are my favorite. So it's been a lot of fun. Last week I talked a little bit about the vertical candies. This week we're going to talk about the horizontal ones. Kind of like the vertical ones. Everything in this is directional. Actually, these ones are a little bit easier because each of them has one fabric that isn't directional. But we go ahead and we start with our half square triangles. This time you're going to use all the half square triangles though, which is awesome. But you will notice in the instructions that it has you do the seam one direction for 2 of them and one direction for the other 2. That is because we want everyone to be standing up in our pinwheel. So these 2 come out of one pair of half square triangles and these 2 come out of the other pair. So pay attention to that to make sure your characters all end up going in the right direction. So once we make our half square triangles and we trim them up, we go ahead and make this is simply a flying geese block with this cute little strip on the side. And I know that those little tiny strips can make us feel like we're getting off and a little tedious, but I love the shape that it gives it. The proportions just feel more right for a candy than to have the flying geese be all the way up here. So I really like it. I love the dimension that it adds. When you work on these, I pressed mine all open. You can press whatever direction you see fit. I pressed everything open until I got to these seams, into these little tiny white border pieces. I pressed them out. And then I pressed the flying geese block into the inside. But other than that, I pressed it open as I went along with the snowballed corners and the half square triangles. And I just like that because it keeps things all really flat. Normally on pinwheels, I press to one direction so that I can spin my center, but I wasn't exactly sure which direction to press, so I just went open and that worked out for me. So do it whatever way you see fit, but that was my method and it turned out pretty flat. So when it comes to putting these ones together, we put them together in sets of 4. The horizontal ones have this big sashing strip that goes between them right here. The vertical ones, the sashing strip is much, much more narrow. You'll notice it right here. I love the use of this strip though because it gives your eye a nice visual break and lets each of the candies be their own individual element instead of all kind of melding together. It's amazing what sashing and borders do to let the eye rest and to let you just focus on what's actually happening in the quilt. When I do these narrow sashings, I press into the little sashing strip. So you'll notice my 2 candies are meeting up right next to each other on the back. But it lets that strip be really visible and it keeps the bulk down. So it's really just easiest to press out into the sashing. So I hope you enjoyed this week. I had a lot of fun with them. My 4-year-old is now happy that they are here and done. Next week we're going to talk assembly. There's a lot of sashings on this. Everything's directional, so that's fun. And the borders, and I'm going to show you my 2 extra borders that I'm doing to make this a little bit bigger. And I will see you next week. Have a good week. Bye, folks.